Let's see if that's going to happen here as we go into game number 3 draft. I like it. I mean, Moskov is literally speed.
Ooh.
Right? He is speed. He loves to play that fast game. But I don't think not making an appearance yet, it is going to be a phobia still for the first.
Interesting. Okay, so they're really leaning hard on this Phobius pickup. Instead of chasing after the high loss, which I thought that they'd go for the adjustment, TNC Pro Team stick to their
Early.
strengths and go for Matilda Terizla.
Huh. When is that Terizla going to get banned out, right?
Yeah.
It kind of makes you wonder. But then again, TNC are back on their red side with 11% win rate so far in the season. The lineup looks very similar to what we saw in game number 2, though.
Will it be an early carry or take away the Julian? Maybe the... Oh no, they banned the Julian themselves. Excuse me.
Get the jungle out first.
Yeah.
That make, I don't think they need to rush it right now, but maybe
Get the
they
carry
have
or the
to find
Moskov,
out.
I feel like.
Alpha.
Oh, they swerve it. They go back to their Alpha roots.
Super early, and finally Moscow make an appearance.
So this allows them to play aggressive around the Alpha while having the Moskov handle the side lanes. Because I think the last one was too objective focused for Falcon AP Brand, too fight focused. This one now they'll at least have like one pick that will take care of the sides and then they'll join in. So I imagine a very tanky 4, the Roamer, Jungle, EXP, and mid laner. Well, not a tanky mid laner, but you know, a lineup that can fight well as 4 while the Moskov just split pushes.
So Alpha on XP most like
there-
jungle most likely. Right?
Good spirits, they're just laughing.
I like it. I like it. And there's a Zask again, very powerful pick, picked up by Lancy. This will do well against whoever that 4 you're talking about is, right?
Yes, yes, you're right.
That's a pretty solid pick.
Yeah, I agree with you. Zask was great. It it makes a team fight that Falcons AP Brand is looking for. The 4v5 while the Moskov is pushing just a little bit harder going up against the Dominator's Descent. TNC needs to contest the high loss, I think, or take it out.
Yeah, that sounds perfect. That sounds perfect so far. But then again, we still have some leeway to maybe ban it out, right? Ban out that high loss, make it a lot harder for the FCAP lineup to move. Or
Okay.
banning out the Valentina.
Yeah, the Valentino would have been great because it could have taken the Dominator's Descent
Ah, there it is.
of the
There it is.
Zask, and
Good
it would have
point.
made the team fight the Falcons AP Brand stronger. I think the NC Pro Team now, they just don't care about the high loss. They're more than happy to just give it, and their way of thinking might be, we rotate faster, and okay, sure, break our formation, but our EXP and mid laner are difficult to take down. It will take some time. So they ban the carry. Oh, gold lane.
All right. Kind of forcing the attack on the gold lane, maybe forcing it
Yeah.
back into a Claude, right?
Yeah.
But then again, this lineup, like I said, the first free is great with skirmishing. That Claude's probably going to have a hard time here.
Yeah, considering that the Phovius might be packing Vengeance, so it might not be so clear-cut for Kozin. Might be something different here. Hey, you know what? If you're Kozin, you can pull a page out of the book of Keller and Benny Cutie, and you can... You know what? I'm not going to hate on it anymore. Pick up the Clint!
Pick up the Clint.
Pick up the Clint!
That sounds like an export for...
Oh. Export
Oh.
Jungle!
Okay. All right. So maybe that's why they were laughing. You know what? Maybe they said, Coach, try this. Coach was laughing. You know what? Maybe we can go for it.
Matilda X-Borg. So few now will be forced into picking up something like the Aurora.
Explosive, right? Just to chill out. You know? Literally chill out while he's taking the heat. I like it.
Chill out the fire. Because you can't pick Farsa into this. You need burst. Vexana is still an option, but I feel like I would personally prefer the Aurora here.
Yeah, that's true. Aurora and the high loss is great.
Yeah, but still, oh, that makes a team fight as 4 of TNC so difficult.
It's time to go to the R&D
Oh, Lolita
show.
Lilia
Lolita and
is the
Lilia
way. Okay.
instead. All right, that's a different trajectory here.
Yeah.
A big difference from what we were thinking.
So they do have sustainability. The Lilia will have the black shoes to reset any damage. TNC Pro Team need to take care of how much they're gonna use in terms of taking this Lilia down. Because that was one of their sicknesses in the first game, that they would use so much abilities, and then when they have an advantage, they wouldn't be able to continue the fight because they've already used their ultimates, while one or two key ultimates on the side of Falcons AP Bren would still be up. In terms of the gold lane, honestly, because of the Lolita pickup and the zone out provided by the Lilia, I'm having a hard time thinking up of names. Wow,
Iksha! Oh my goodness!
I thought this would come out earlier, but now she came out here.
My girl coming in hot with the Iksha. I love it. Personally, really love it. All right. Because obviously I play this hero a lot. But yeah, if there was ever a lineup, you want the Matilda in, you want to use that Matilda, and you can distract the enemy with the Zask and the X-Borg. I like it. It's more 60-40 for me for TNC in this draft.
Yeah, 4 protect 1. TNC built this lineup with their Ixia in mind. And I gotta agree with you there, because looking at Falcon's AP Brand, they don't have a clear dive. They just have to brute force and slow front-to-back team fight it to reach that Ixia. But this will call for great positioning from Kozin.
Can they pull it off, though? Can the Ixia finally get a win? Throw it over to Naisu and Ingan to give us all the action.
Thank you so much, guys. Breaking it down once again, Rockhart and Renmar to bring us to this game. Now on desk, it's me, Naisu, with Ingan for the final match in the series, final game in the series, game number 3 here between TNC and FCAP. You know, coming into this, we didn't think that we would see how game 1, where it was Winions, and then game 2 went, where TNC completely controlled the game against FCAP, and now what is in store for us for game number 3. Let's start off with this, Ingan. What do you think of the lineups here? What do you think of the compositions?
I think TNC, I agree with Rockhart and Renmar, the 4 protect 1 strategy. Gonna double down on the damage coming in from Kozin. Coming from that performance during game number 2 wherein he didn't die.
Yeah.
Plus the kit that they have right now, again, doubling down with the Escalera and Heads heroes. I think if they execute it to perfection like game number 2, it's gonna be a really fast game.
It's interesting too because Kozin, even with how unfortunate game 1's ending was for TNC, Kozin played the game really well. Heads.
Oh,
okay.
Forces out the flicker. Okay, so this time, Falcon's AP Bren are replicating what TNC did, focusing on the XP lane.
Yeah, focus on the side lanes here because of the fact that Heads had an amazing game on the Trizza previously. But that's the thing, Kozin, going back to the point here, this is an interesting pick that you do not see often. You don't see the Ixia picked up by a lot of teams. Certain players like to do it. And Kozin has had a phenomenal series, I would say, because he's barely died. And even in like we saw when he played the carry in game 1 and then the Claude last game, it's been great for him. So I'm just wondering how this glass cannon type of hero, this Ixia, is going to work out for him. He did run the Warcry emblem, so he's looking for even more of a glass cannon build than just setup here. And that's great that they brought Escalera on the Matilda again to help with that utility and escape. And now for the first turtle here, who's going to get it?
Oh, it's still going to go to Kyle TZ. Now uses the Spear of Alpha. Flap TZ goes in with the last Insanity. Oh! But the jump's coming in from Flap. Kaizen has to walk away. The flicker coming in from Flap will bring down Kaizen.
Okay, so a whole lot actually there for FCAP. This is a little different than last time, right? For TNC, they usually had the lead. Whole barrage going to be dropped down. Not enough there. Again, Ogwin dropping up that big shield to deal with too. So going back to it, FCAP got a lot. They got the objective. They got the first blood. And this time around too, Flap TZ has the flicker instead of the vengeance that we have seen him play on this Fovius in the past. And so, with that, he gets a little more play-calling ability.
Oh, Ogwen on the other hand here. Last Insanity to bring him down as he charges the Numinum Blast. But the question is, were they able to get the purple buff? Wait.
Yeah, he's got it.
Okay.
He's got it locked in. Kaizen was able to grab it. Retribution was used as well, so he'll go and get the orange here. Few takes a couple shots from Escalera, but this is the thing, FCAP playing with a little bit of the lead they have. This is where I'm saying, we've seen this time and time again too, Super Marco on the Mozkov, and it's something that TNC wants to deal with. If a game gets out of hand early on, I feel like in this sense, TNC will find themselves kind of struggling a little bit. They have good damage profiles, magic and physical, throughout all stages of the game. But just playing with the utility that they have, again, is what they need to be able to come through with. And that's really all on Escalera right now for the Matilda, making things work. Heads, if he continues to play like he has through the series, is also going to be crucial for TNC.
And I think for Falcon's AP Brand, although they lack the kit for the clashes, Their split push potential and pickoffs are immense though. So I think Falcons AP Brent, they really just wanted to divide and conquer as much as possible, avoid those 5v5 clashes, avoid activating heads with the penalty zone or the aggression coming in from Escalera's Matilda. But right now, look at this full barrage coming in from Kozin. Super Marco flickers in to avoid the full barrage. Just the last effort to save himself, but he's going to fall down in exchange for the turtle of Kyle TZ.
That's a whole lot you really can't escape, whether you use the Purifier or not. You know, you try to get out of range for it, but eventually just a whole lot going here for FCAP. Again, an objective in their hands. They're going to play around to the macro level a little bit more, take some resources, but TNC answers back as well by getting, you know, some of this gold on that plating here up top. So it's a trade. That's what's happening here for both of them. And TNC, oh, look at the setup here, FCAP. A lot of members here on the top side.
Numinum Blast, gonna charge up, circling Eagle, coming in from Escalera. They're not gonna go for the engage instead, trying to avoid those sour moments, those acid moments, but I think Flap TZ wants to go in. They still have the Spear of Alpha. Here comes Kaizen. It's gonna be a 4-on-3, but TNC has the turret. They're gonna burst down Kozin. TNC has to walk away here. It's 4 members of Falcons AP Bread getting a kill.
Yeah, and that's tough because, like, Kozin had the flicker, but really, even if he had used it, it was just way too much presence from FCAP there. So it's better, you know, even with, and that's the unfortunate part, even with multiple team members there, Kozin really didn't have any other option to really play around with. Retribution going to be used on Kaizen. Look at this. They already get the Insanity out. Last Insanity.
Oh! Still manages to use the Spear of Alpha onto Escalera.
All for the turret.
All for the turret. A lot of resources expended for TNC, and Falcons got the turret for Marco up top.
This is, and you saw that, right? Few also just using the black shoes here. And this is going back to the point earlier. I think it was tough the previous game when you saw that Eve picked up for Few. This time around,
it's a Lilia.
It's a Lilia, and part of his job is literally just to be annoying enough to keep people from initiating. Earlier that was heads. Now he's also doing it over here to Lancey. And when you start to build up those items on the Lilia, the damage is actually quite surprising, especially with the blooms here. And then the black shoes being able to escape a lot of those initiations. So this third turtle.
Oh, heads goes in with the penalty zone and circling eagle combination again. Goes in. Full barrage, able to free hit. Falcons AP Brand has to catch the back line as Kyle TZ soaks some damage from the front line. Flap TZ goes in with the Infernal Pursuit. Kozin's going to fall down all of a sudden for TNC as they work on the turtle. But Flap TZ continuing to jump right after heads. They have to walk away now. Falcons AP Brand with 2.2k gold lead still wants to go in because Super Marco goes in. Look at that Flap. This is a Phobius without a vengeance. So he's going to fall down, a 2-for-1 exchange. And now TNC on the driver's seat once again. The Black Shoes has been popped, but here comes Marco. He still have the Spirit of Destruction. He can go in anytime because Kaizen is also low. Super Marco going right after Escalera, has to walk away. Heads again with the penalty zone onto Few. He's going to burst him down. There's no Black Shoes. And who's going to get the turtle? It's going to go on to Kozin. That was a long clash, but I feel like TNC won that trade.
Man. Talk about an extended team fight. It all started off with them starting to take the turtle. Oh.
Look at the combination of the Dominators, the Scented Full Barrage.
Okay. That's it. And that's what I was saying earlier. You know, when that full barrage is dropped down, it's hard to kind of play against that if you're full front of it. But TNC, going back to the last fight, great discipline there to wait for FCAP when everything was utilized. Then they came back swinging, and they end up getting objective. They lowered down that gold lead that was building. You know, they still have to work against it, but you can see the items starting to fall into place. Still, Kozin only on the Corrosive Scythe, though. Once he gets locked in, you know, 2-3 items, then that full barrage will hurt a little bit more. You can see now he finally picks up the DHS, and he's going to work on this tier 1.
Okay.
They should be able to get it. Okay, it looks like they do. They'll back off TNC taking the discipline route. And we'll see them. FCAP, how are they responding across the map?
Oh, I think there's going to have a clash here onto the middle lane as the mid trio of TNC working on the mid. Okay, it's going to be a 5-on-5. Who's going to initiate first? But okay, for Falcons AP Bren, I mean for TNC, it's nice that Escalera can be aggressive and at the same time be defensive as much as possible. But they can't just keep relying on heads with the beautiful penalty zones. Because the moment penalty zone doesn't connect, it's going to be an opening for Falcons AP Brand that clearly they always utilize. And for Flap TZ, Cousins ranking among all gold laners.
TNC Cozen leads
Wow.
all gold laners in average damage per minute at 2,838, and damage dealt sharing among all gold laners at 29.68% during the first half of the regular season. And that's why I talked about him earlier. You know, Cozen, through this series, he's had a great series so far. Nearly was deathless, if I recall right, in the last game, but if not, very little deaths from the carry to the Claude, and now the Iksha here.
It's going to go to a Lord Dance once again as Super Marco works on the bottom lane. TNC trying to burst down the Lord. Flap TZ surveying the scene. Now few.
Super Marco bottom.
Here's the picture. Okay, Super Marco still at the bottom lane as Ogwe charges the Numinum Blast, and the full barrage is also there. Retribution battle. Cozen gets the Lord, and now TNC has to walk away because they're all low. Lancey flickers out. No trade. Spear of Destruction is gonna miss.
Right
so
through.
TNC, what a play.
So Super Marco decided to go push that tier 2 in the bottom side. TNC manages to get the Lord through it, but it's still FCAP going and knocking down these tier 2s now. So even with that play, TNC, they're going to lose some space to work with, but they have the Lord. What can they get out of it? They still need to work down on the side of FCAP's map, but that's the thing. You saw that setup potential, you know, and this is what we've been talking about a lot. Especially when the full barrage is used, FCAP can't just blindly walk into it.
Yeah.
And so we saw that happen here. So now we'll see. TNC, they've got a little bit of an advantage to work with. They want to take this gold lead and whittle down as much as possible.
Okay, Kazan uses his Retribution onto Flap TZ. And now the Lord marching into top lane. With Falcons AP Brent's lead, for sure no inhibitor turrets will be taken down unless Heads comes up with a miracle penalty zone once again. I think he tried to cast it. It's going to be cancelled as Flap TZ starts things off. Look at Ogwe. Numinum Blast going to connect with the Circling Eagle. Guiding Wind will save the members of the Phoenix Army. Flap TZ goes in deep. Look at Super Marco working onto the backline, but he's going to fall down first. Flap TZ nowhere to be found. Koza with a full barrage. And now the TNC, they've turned the tide to their favor. Kyle TZ working on Kazan. Still has the immortality. It will be popped. Kyle TZ so close to damage up against 3. He was up against 3, but he's still alive. Last Insanity's going to bring him down. Ogwin and Few left against Lancey, Kazan, and Kozen.
Oh, you don't see that often, but man, Super Marco went in, thought he might be able to go ahead and kill Kozen, but Kozen says no. Bulletproof, Marco, you're not bulletproof today against this Iksha. And it's starting to be a very big problem for FCAP in these team fights. A lot of the times we see that, the initiation coming out from Flap TZ, going forward with the Infernal Pursuits, but TNC has that fight in them. They have that Phoenix in them.
They have the Phoenix, the burning passion to bounce back from the first half. I mean, that was a good initiation from Flap and Ogwen, but TNC just really standing their ground. Clearly, there's synergy and chemistry. They've worked on it for 4 weeks. And this is up against Falcons AP Bren. I mean, one of the Titans along with TLPH. And this is how you perform? This is what you're doing right now?
I mean, put that into consideration here. TNC, second half of the regular season. If they are able to win this series against FCAP, I will truly be a believer of what you said earlier leading into this. Anything can happen.
I told you.
For the second half of the regular season. And we saw, again, you guys, you've been watching, your viewers out there, you know TNC has struggled in the first half. But even with that being said, if they somehow win things, starting with this, they're not too far in terms of points to get to the playoffs ahead of them. And now they want to control this Lord here, starting things up. Super Marco still on the bottom side.
Again, Heads with the penalty zone, not going to connect onto anyone. Just trying to zone out Falcons AP Bren, the Lord. A fifth of his health gone now. Flap TZ goes in. Kazan still going to get the Lord. Spear of Destruction is not going to connect, so TNC wants to go all in. Flap TZ continuing with the Infernal Pursuit as Lance Insanity will be popped. He's very low though, so Ogwin casts the Numinum Blast. Look at that from the backline. Kyle TZ goes in with the Spear of Alpha. And the damage coming in from View is just too much. Lancey, Heads is going to fall down. Kozen answers right back. Kyle TZ is going to fall down as well. The sandwich coming in from Falcons AP Bren. This time the Bulletproof is here. It's going to be a wipeout for Falcons AP Bren!
Unfortunately for TNC, they lose the fight, but they got the Lord. But it's only Lancey coming up. Can he stop 4 members?
That's up against 4. Super Marco doesn't care as they try to work on the Dominator's descent.
That's it.
And the Crystal, the base, the momentum, back to the Titans.
And FCAP will turn things around, douse the fires of TNC. Just in a fashion we've seen him do it before, man.